Oh, it is hot. Hello my friends, my name is Artur Rehi. Haven't been here for a while. Don't worry at all, we will continue where you left off. But first of all, what is this? I have Estonian flag on my shirt. I feel holy, I feel heavenly, I feel good. Do you want to feel also like that? This is actually my new shirt. Estonian Legion, boom, look at it, it looks so cool. I thought it's not gonna fit me when I ordered it. It's L large, it fits perfectly. It has Estonian flag here, it has Estonian Legion down below. And it has a little, it has also Estonian Legion signs on the shoulders so people can see that you're one of the cool ones. And when you go to the coffee shop in the morning, they're like, sir, let me give you your coffee for free today because, that shirt is on fire. So yeah, go and check out Estonian Legion merch in the description below. But today, why did you come here? Because of the title, we are going to watch Oversimplified, who released a new video only 2 days ago. My channel has always been a lot about Oversimplified. You guys love it, and I love it. This one is called The War of the Bucket, which is super weird, but the weirder the title, the better the video, right? Let's just jump into it.
Alright folks, gather round. I've got some good news and some bad news. Did you say good news and glad news? No, I said good news and bad news. Very bad news. Word on the street is there's going to be a horrible plague coming in from Central Asia in the next couple decades that'll wipe out half of Europe. What's the good news? Do you have a cure? Please say you have a cure. No, even better. The good news is we've got a new bucket for this city well.
Yeah! Hurrah! The War of the Bucket. Wow.
To understand the War of the Bucket, we first need to talk about this guy. He's the man with the plan, the host with the most. He's holy, lowly, he eats ravioli, with the white cassock, matching pellegrina, and the most tasteful of fringed fascias. Come on, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's the Pope, the head of the largest religious organization in the world. But what if I told you he wasn't always the big bad boy powerhouse he's often thought as today? That's right. Throughout history, the papacy often found itself forced to wrestle against...
I thought the papacy nowadays is not the big bad powerhouse. I thought nowadays it's like this weaker thing because people are going more secular and the countries are going more secular, so Pope loses its power. And also, nowadays it's just a figurehead anyway. It doesn't have any military or real power. But back in the day it had real power, back in the Crusades time, for example. So I would say right now it's the weak point of Catholicism, and right now the Pope's power is the weakest. But I guess there have been times when it was more weaker, right? We will find out, I don't know. If you know about this, you can answer always in the comments. I will read them, because I wouldn't ask them if I wouldn't be interested about them. Give me your knowledge, I will take your knowledge. Yeah.
Adversity and opposition to retain its authority. The earliest popes, for example, suffered under the brutal persecution of the Roman Empire, and many ended up martyred, such as Pope Clement I, who was ostensibly thrown into the sea with an anchor around his neck. On the bright side, however, he's now the patron saint of fishermen. After persecution finally ended, the Pope still found himself being heavily controlled by secular kings and nobility. For over 2 centuries, the Byzantine emperor basically decided who could become Pope. Then came a real low point, during what has been called the Dark Age, a period where noblewomen controlled the Pope through, how should I put this, feminine charm. It was around here that one infamous Pope, John XII, took office. This bad boy would hold, how should I put this, naughty no-clothes parties in the Lateran Palace, and apparently this would even happen. Come on, Zeus, give me a 6. Did I say Zeus? I meant Thor. Ra, the Egyptian sun god? Dang it, who is it we worship? Perhaps you should read this, Your Holiness. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth? Wow, this is wild. Pope John XII.
Okay, sorry. This goes it was directly in the right place it goes, because I'm studying study of religions. I'm studying the world religions in the university right now. So yeah, this is my field. I enjoy this a lot. But a question about the popes who were persecuted by the Romans. I'm sorry to pause. My style is I pause all the time and I ask questions from you guys. You can answer them in the comments. What's with the popes who were persecuted by Romans? I mean, Romans, yeah, they persecuted Christians, they killed them, but then they accepted Christianity at some point. So were there popes at the time when Romans persecuted Christians? Did the Christians already elect their popes so early? Didn't know that. I thought Christians back then were like not that organized to have a pope, you know. But maybe they did, and maybe he was thrown in the river, and now it's the patron saint of the fishermen. I don't know, next time I go fishing I'll try it out.
12th eventually died exactly how he lived, caught in the act by an irate husband who picked the Pope up and chucked him out the window.
What?
The point I'm trying to make here is that often the Pope was a very weak and corruptible figure and was regularly used and controlled by secular leaders as a tool to increase their own power and influence. And there was certainly an element of that in the year 800, when the Pope and the Kingdom of the Franks were good BFFs, and King of the Franks, Charlemagne, was like, hey man, being King of the Franks is nice and all, but I want more legitimacy, and also to become the continuation of the Roman Empire. So what say in return for my protection, you crown me Emperor so everyone will respect me more? Sure thing, pal. We'll hold the ceremony tomorrow. Charlemagne, King of the Franks, I hereby crown you Emperor of the West. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting this at all. What a surprise. I simply cannot accept. Oh. Okay then, I guess I'll just put this back over here. Give me that crown! Charlemagne's crowning as emperor was certainly an historic moment, but it also created a bit of an interesting problem. It set—
Wait, so Charlemagne was the one that was so strong with his kingdom, uniting all the lands of Germany and France today, that actually Vikings could not penetrate that land. They could go to England if they wanted 200 years later, but they never— When Charlemagne was the emperor, Holy Roman Emperor I think it was, or he was the emperor of his imperium, the Vikings never penetrated his lands, I think. Everybody respected him, he was this huge, big European power, and when he died, it all went to hell. I hope Oversimplified makes a video about that also. But it's cool to see how it all began. I never knew how Charlemagne got his power. This is how he got it. Good way to get power.
Set the precedent that from here on out, only the Pope could crown an emperor, but the Pope was also very much under the influence and control of Charlemagne. So who really held the power here? The Pope or the Emperor? I'm sure that this conflict won't cause anyone to die. Bishop of Freising, we want to thank you once again for visiting our wonderful city. It's been an honor. The pleasure is all mine, and what a wonderful tour it's been. I've seen the city walls, I've seen the towers, nothing could top that. Oh, couldn't it? Because we've saved the best for last. Ta-da! Yes, that's very interesting. Isn't it the greatest thing you've ever seen? Well, I mean, it is just a bucket.
What?
Get him out of here! Over time, Charlemagne's position as emperor and the kingdom of the Franks gradually evolved into the Holy Roman Empire. And by now, the Pope and the Emperor weren't such good friends anymore, since neither could agree on who was the boss of who. To make matters worse, the Emperor had taken to investing his own bishops and abbots. What does that mean? Well, allow me to explain. The problem for the Holy Roman Emperor was his empire wasn't really an empire, so much as a nightmarish federation made up of hundreds of counties, duchies, bishoprics, and more. The princes in charge of these local regions often didn't give the emperor their loyalty. The German nobility spent a lot of their time rebelling against the emperor, and the emperor spent a lot of his time trying to put down those rebellions. Can we get rid of them? Who? All the nobility. Get rid of them and pick new ones who are loyal to me. You can't just remove noble families from their territory. Please? Aw, okay, how about this? Some of those territories are ruled by bishops and abbots, and as Holy Roman Emperor, considered by many to be the deputy of Jesus Christ himself, perhaps you can choose who gets to become bishop and abbot. Yay! Now it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night.
Oh!
Say it back. And so it was. The emperor invested his own family and loyal followers into powerful church positions, and thereby was able to increase his own power and authority.
This is what every dictator does, really.
Not only that, but the emperor and other nobility were also engaging in something called simony. That's when someone would come along and say, hey, I want to become a bishop and get all the personal riches that come with the position. Perhaps we could come to some kind of arrangement. That's right. Church positions were actually being sold to the highest bidder. And let me tell you, they probably didn't come cheap. It's gonna cost you a lot more than this. I don't think so. I've got a promo code. And speaking of promo codes, do you like free money? I know I do. I really like it.
Yeah, I would imagine this would be the low point of the Catholic Church. Nowadays, you cannot really buy positions. I don't think so, at least. You have to elect them in a democratic way, I think so. Back then, you had money, boom, you were a bishop, you had power, you had, I don't know, houses, you had everything.
Oh yeah. investing bishops and abbots, selling church positions, authority, and power. Wait a minute, this is depravity. The purpose of the church isn't for him to increase his own authority and power, it's for me to increase my own authority and power. What about Jesus, Your Holiness? What? I thought the purpose of the church was to spread the good message of Jesus Christ.
Oh.
How drunk are you? Very.
Yeah. Okay, if you're Christian and watching this was just a history. It might not be your personal view upon this, but I mean, some popes were very corrupt, and the Catholic Church has been really corrupt throughout the history. Might not be nowadays, it's fine now, I think. And it's getting better, at least. That's what I hear. I'm not sure.
Alright, the results for the election of Chief Magistrate are in. Giovanni Kablami, 1%. Spaghetti Jeff, 2%. And the bucket, 1 trillion%. Around the year 1050, a series of reformist popes came along, and they said enough was enough. They wanted to stop the emperor from abusing the church and investing his own church officials. How are you going to stop me so long as I have control over who becomes pope? Remember the circular power division? If you try to stop me, I'll just depose you and pick someone else. Oh no, I've contracted tuberculosis. And just like that, the emperor was dead. His 6-year-old son, Henry IV, took over. And as we all know, child emperor...
Okay, let me think about what I was doing when I was 6. I think I was playing with dirt outside, and in 1 year I would have to go to school. But I was very far from ruling an empire, especially Charlemagne's empire, so this guy is screwed.
Equal opportunity. The church had an opening to take back control of the papacy. Hey man, I hope you don't mind, but we're changing the rules so that only the church cardinals can elect the pope, and you no longer have any say in the matter. You know, if that's cool with you. I peed my pants. Okay, great talk. Then, with the position of the pope a little more secure, he held a big meeting where he drew up a big list of all the reforms and new powers he was giving himself. And it included some pretty gnarly stuff. Okay, first, I have the power to depose emperors. Everyone cool?
That sounds like what Putin is doing in Russia today, you know. He was elected in the 90s, he spent his 3 terms in the office, then he switched with Medvedev, the prime minister. He was the prime minister then, he still had the power. Then he switched back to the president, 2 terms, then he switched that 4 years will become 6 years. He just gives him more time and more power and, you know, everything more to Putin and his friends. So, I think he's the same.
Cool with that? Yeah? Let's see. Only I can depose or reinstate bishops. Yeah? Alright. No one can judge me. All princes shall only kiss my feet. Only my name shall be spoken in the churches. My name is the only name in the world. Okay, I think you're done. These were all some pretty radical powers the Pope was giving himself, and with these reforms, the Pope was basically telling the Emperor, you no longer have the right to choose your own bishops and abbots. Only I can do that. When the Emperor, now a full-grown man, heard the news, he was furious. What? This is madness! Who does this guy think he is? I'm the Emperor, for goodness sake. He can't tell me what to do. I'll invest my own bishops and abbots if I want to, and this rapscallion can go right to heck! I peed my pants again! The whole conflict escalated when Henry...
Well, okay, sorry, I have to ask, what about the bucket? It's called the bucket war. But they're worrying about the factions of the church, which is very interesting, but still I want to know about the bucket. Where is the bucket?
The fourth went to the Pope and said, hey, guess what, sucker? You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Pope. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh. Wait a minute. I'm the Emperor. You can't depose me. You're deposed. Oh.
Come on.
Wait a minute. Eventually, the German princes took advantage of the situation and they all turned against Henry. Henry was forced to apologize to the Pope and the whole thing ended there. Except it didn't. The whole conflict, known today as the investiture controversy, would continue on for centuries as popes and emperors engaged in a power struggle over the emperor choosing his own church officials. The overall result of this conflict...
So in the end there already are 2 churches in the Catholic Church, the one of the Pope and the one of the emperors. They both choose their different the different bishops, so they have different views, so it's not the same religion anymore. I don't understand. How can you call Catholicism one big religion if it consists of so many different powers and religions? I don't even think the God they worship is the same. Everybody has different views about the God and different ways to worship him, and everything is different. The churches, the way people talk, they behave, even the traditions are different in different countries. So how can you call it the same religion? I think Catholicism is one illusory big religion, but actually it's like 10 different ones. I feel like this is where it started. This is where it started and it led up to nowadays.
Is very intricate and full of complexities, but in general, the Pope was able to increase his authority. Great news, Your Holiness. Your influence is on the rise throughout civilized Europe, except for this one city in northern Italy. Really? What's going on there? As for the emperor, he found his realm thrown into further
Okay, so this is the War of the Bucket just because of the title. There's nothing connected to the bucket. This is one city, the Bologna is worshipping a bucket, and everything else is about the church wars. Well, thank you, Oversimplified. This is perfect. I like it.
chaos and civil war, as the local princes continued to increase their own power and independence. This was most notably the case in northern Italy. Separated from the rest of the Holy Roman Empire by the Alps, the emperor's influence and control over Italy had often been questionable. In the current chaos, these Italian city-states began operating almost entirely independently. Their practical independence was further solidified when Emperor Frederick Barbarossa came down in 1176 to try to reassert his control. The cities formed an alliance, and with the Pope's support, they kicked the emperor right back to Germany. Hooray, said the Italian city-states. We did it! We're the best of friends. And then they immediately began attacking each other. Why? Well, this whole Pope versus Emperor thing, in Italy at least, had infiltrated.
If you have so many city-states, look, all of them, I think all of them had one big city in the middle and they have a little bit of land around them. So eventually one of them will be more powerful and just take over all of the others, and he will be the next dynasty or imperium. I think this is the evolution of politics, you know, this is how it will happen. This state here where 100 city-states exist next to one another, it's not possible, it cannot exist. It will be war, and then one will take over, and it will be just boom. Yeah, we have a new empire.
Infiltrated society to its very core. Across Italy, families and cities were torn between two opposing sides. On one side, the Guelphs, who supported the Pope's cause. On the other, the Ghibellines, who supported the emperor. These two sides struggled for control as Guelph cities battled against...
They almost have even the same flags. One has white background and red cross, otherwise it has red background and white cross. I was talking about the differences in Catholicism, but still they could see it in a way that, oh, we're all part of one big religion, we should try to get along and make, you know, alliances, but they see it differently. They see it the opposite way. Being from the same religion, the same cultural space, they speak the same languages usually here. I think they do, but they still all war each other. It sounds weird. It's like Estonian counties would start to war each other right now. I couldn't imagine it.
Ghibelline ones. As usual, personal interest played a pretty big role, as pro-Pope Guelph cities tended to be rich mercantile ones who didn't like the emperor's taxes. Emperors supporting Ghibellines, on the other hand, were often agricultural, where the expanding papal states were a larger threat. These cities would sometimes even switch sides depending who is in charge and their ever-changing personal interests. In some cities, brutal fighting broke out in the streets as opposing families fought for control. At times, the conflict became so tribal that the differences between the two sides were just downright silly. My love, I can't bear it. We must be together. But how can we? My Ghibelline family wears feathers on the left side of their caps, and your Guelph family wears them on the right.
What?
My Ghibelline family cuts fruit straight down, and your Guelph family cuts fruit crosswise. These are arbitrary differences. We shouldn't let them tear us apart. We can be together no matter what our families think. Wonderful news! Let's make a toast to our love. I'll drink from my Ghibelline smooth goblet, and I shall drink from my Guelph chaste goblet. Get out of my sight, you dirty Pope-loving wench. Two city-states...
It's crazy, it is truly like that. And this is the everyday life it came out, the differences came out. But the differences also were in the traditions of what you do in the church. If you do the cross with 3 fingers or 2 fingers, and they killed thousands of people over this. If you do it with 3 fingers or 2 fingers, if you start from up, you start from bottom, you start from right to left, these small things, in the end you will be still making a cross, you know, it doesn't matter. But where do you start, where do you end if you do it to the people, if you baptize them? It made so much of a difference that they killed thousands over it. It's crazy, it's crazy, it's crazy. That's what I mean, like, I'm studying religion and it can be a very beneficial thing in your life. But if it turns into fanaticism, like in, you know, this instance, it's horrible. It should be cut out in life, you know, it's just bad. But if you can just be peaceful and worship your God on your own, and it's fine. These people, they kill over it. Some people just use it to turn it into a weapon, you know. It should not be a weapon, it should be a way to help you live. But in this case, it's just a mass destruction weapon. It's like a nuclear weapon because hundreds of thousands were killed.
In particular that got caught in a long-standing rivalry was the emperor supporting Modena and the pope supporting, bucket-loving Bologna. These two cities had bad blood between them, as they had already fought against each other on a number of occasions. In 1249, the two sides took part in the Battle of Fasolta, after which the victorious Bolognese launched a live donkey into Modena to humiliate them. For decades after that, the two sides would occasionally take little day trips into each other's territory and mess things about a bit. In the fateful year of 1325, the Bolognese went on one such trip and laid waste to some farmlands. The ruler of Modena, Passerino de Bonacolsi, was having none of it. The Bolognese had two major forts protecting their city in the southwest, so Passerino, in retaliation, decided to take an army down and lay siege to one of them. Hey, you dirty Bolognese jerks! You think you can raid our farmlands? Come out here and face me like a man! Hey man, what's up? I've just come out to let you know that there's no need to siege us because— Whoa, hey man, chill out. I'm trying to tell you— Whoa, stop doing that. I'm trying to tell you I'm actually secretly sympathetic to the imperial cause and I want to willingly hand the fort over to you. Oh, cool, okay. Dude, what was that for? For betraying your people. And this is for joining mine. Mwah. The Bolognese were pretty unhappy to lose one of their main defensive forts, but to make matters worse, then this happened. Hey, wait a minute. Where's the bucket? Oh no, it's gone. Those Modenese must have taken it. We'll make them pay. This is unacceptable. They may take our lives.
Okay, I have to ask, is this real? Is this bucket thing real? It can't be, it has to be oversimplified. They added this to make this interesting. It can't be real. I think like the Pope and the Catholicism wars, that was real. The bucket thing is not real. It doesn't happen in the history, does it? Write to me in the comments, please. I need to know.
They take our fort, but they will never take our bucket. Oh wait, here it is. I found it, guys. It's right here.
Okay.
Phew. Could you imagine if we started a war over that? That would have been really stupid, and there'd probably be a billion videos about it on YouTube one day. Thank goodness it never actually happened. That's right. The famous story you may know about the War of the Bucket, that the war started because Modena stole Bologna's bucket, doesn't actually seem to be quite right. I was surprised to find that the bucket was likely not actually stolen at the start of the war. And at this point, I want to thank and give a big shout out to fellow history YouTuber M. Laser. He's the one guy I found who actually translated a fantastic original Italian source, and then kindly allowed me to use his work in my own research. He does really well researched and in-depth videos, and definitely deserves way more subscribers, so please head on over and check him out. The real reason Bologna seems to have declared war on Modena is simply that they both hated each other, supported opposing factions, the Pope had called on Guelph cities to attack Passerino, and Bologna wanted its fort back. And they were gonna get it back.
Okay, that sounds much more likely. They hated each other, they're going to war, but for a bucket, that's... Okay, I wanna say it. Don't get mad at me, bucket people, but it's just a bucket. Doesn't matter.
They had a large force, much larger than what Modena could muster up.
What?
So they felt pretty confident. They sent half their force to lay siege and take back the fort, and the other half took defensive positions to prevent the Modenese from crossing the river. The smaller Modenese force were struggling to find a place to cross, so one night they were like, "Hey guys, look out, we're attacking way up here in the north. Better move your troops." Oh, would you look at that? That was easy. And just like that, the Modenese were across the river. The Bolognese were probably expecting the Modenese to come and break their siege, but instead, the Modenese went for the second fort at Zappolino. Bologna couldn't afford to lose both of its defensive forts, so the entire Bolognese force moved to take defensive positions at Zappolino. When the Modenese arrived, it was already late in the day, and there were about 2 hours of sunlight left. In most medieval battles, at this point, both sides would set up a camp, rest for the night, and prepare for battle the next day. But the outnumbered Modenese decided the only way to win was to deal a quick, decisive blow while the Bolognese were still unorganized and unprepared. And that's exactly what they did. They charged at the Bolognese line, and the two sides engaged in fierce combat. Then the sneaky Modenese pulled what must be the most predictable, yet somehow consistently surprising move in medieval warfare. They sent the cavalry around the side and hit them from behind. Bing bang bong, the Bolognese went on the run. With casualties in the thousands, Modena had won, and the Modenese cavalry chased the Bolognese cavalry all the way back to the city. After Modena's victory, they went on a tour of the Bolognese countryside, burning some stuff down along the way.
They went on a tour, yeah. They were watching the sightseeing and everything and burning down some houses then. They went on a tour. But this move actually really surprises me also. I watch a lot of historical videos and the battle depictions, and every time they win by, oh, they will charge the main force in the center and then they add the cavalry who comes from the back and attacks, or just one infantry unit comes to the sides and attack, and that saves the day. Happens through and throughout history. But if it happens so much, why don't people, foresee it and try to prevent it? It always happens. You should see, okay, I will attack my enemy, he will try to flank me, I should protect my flanks, protect my sides. It still happens. Every second battle is won by flanking somebody. I don't know. People don't learn.
They reached the city itself. Instead of laying siege, they set up a camp and basically held a massive party for 3 days. The defeated Bolognese could only sit back and watch. As the Modenese force began packing up and getting ready to leave, they noticed something. Oh my gosh. Hey, check this out. No way. Are you kidding me? They're still using traditional wells. Hey, you dumb Bolognese. Ever heard of an artesian well? You can't even get water out of the ground without using a stupid bucket. It's not a stupid bucket. It's a wonderful bucket. Yeah, whatever, bucket boy. We're taking this with us. So Modena stole Bologna's bucket and put it up on display in their cathedral, eventually moving it to the city hall, where it remains on display to this day.
Oh, really?
The two cities came to a peace settlement a few months later. Bologna would have to pay heavy war reparations, and in exchange, Modena would return all conquered territories. Modena kept the bucket. Despite being one of the bloodiest battles in medieval Italian history, it didn't really change anything, except now Modena had Bologna's bucket. As for the larger power struggle between the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, that would continue on for some time and played a part in many major events of medieval history, such as the Crusades, the Protestant Reformation, eventually leading to the general separation of church and state we see in Europe today. So there you have it. We learnt about the Pope and the Holy Roman Emperor, the investiture controversy, and finally, the War of the Bucket. It's been a long day, and it's time to turn out the lights and go to sleep. Okay, I love you. Okay, good night. Say it back!
Oh wow, yeah, okay, it tied up perfectly. I couldn't believe it was a real thing, but now actually they still have the bucket, so it has to be real. They stole the bucket from the other city and it besieged them. But they tied it perfectly to the grander scale of Holy Roman Empire and the small two city-states in Italy. And they tied it together. Oh, love the style, it's perfect. Honestly, it makes much more sense to me to go to war because somebody steals something from you. Then you go to war for something that was stolen from you. You need to get it back, you have a reason. If you go to war for religious reasons, or for reasons which cup you're gonna drink out of, how different is the other person's lifestyle. You go to war for abstraction. It's not a real thing, it's an idea, a set of ideas. Abstraction doesn't really exist, it only exists in the mind. And if you go to war for that, always a pointless thing to do. You can never win because you cannot destroy ideas with weapons, it's impossible. You can only destroy lives and real things with weapons. But they still don't know it today. They still go to war for abstractions, for ideas, which is the most pointless thing in the world. I'm not here to change the world, I'm here to laugh about history. Yeah, that's what I'll do. But hey, until the next video, you should get the cup, look at it. I drink tea from it every time I watch the YouTube videos. It's really cool. It's Estonian YouTuber cup. You can also drink tea from it when you watch my videos, and it also goes perfectly with the Estonian Legion t-shirt. So both of their links are in the description below. Order now. You can also pay with credit card, whatever card you want to pay with. Your senior membership card also works. Don't even worry about it. Get the cup, get the shirt. Well, you will be the grandest of subscribers. Also, if you like these videos I make, please support the channel. The best way to do it is Patreon. Head on to the Patreon, link is in the description below. These guys are the, men behind the curtain. They keep the channel going. If YouTube demonetizes or Oversimplified claims this video, which they usually do, they made it, fair enough, but I need to get paid also because I put effort into it. So Patreon, head on to the Patreon and make sure I can keep this channel going. Thank you so much. And as always, my friends, until my next video, stay cool and bye bye.